Greetings once again. This is Mr. Solomon with another edition of Minecraft EDU for Schools. Today we'll be working with 4th grade, and they will be creating a Native American village, otherwise known as a diorama. So in the past, students have created dioramas with shoe boxes and materials and clay and minifigures, and it was a lot of work, and now we're going to try to use Minecraft to recreate another Native American village. Here's our technology standards. We're creative and innovative. Students will communicate and collaborate. They're working in teams, and they'll be digital citizens. So the first thing we did was build some background knowledge on different Native American tribes. Students are studying the Pueblo Indians. This is from Taos Pueblo in New Mexico, looking at some of the materials and some of the houses. We had Ute Indians, so they built teepees, which is going to be a bit challenging to try to create rounded structures in Minecraft. Then we looked at Arapaho Indian shelters made out of grass and sticks and mud. We looked at Akiva and the cliff dwellings that are here in Colorado from the Anasazi Native American tribe. And then we gave students a planning sheet. So they're going to be using the large workspace that is 50 by 50. So this grid paper is 25 by 25. And we told students they need to include the following items. So when we look at these, we have Native American houses. They have to have fenced areas for animals and crops, trees, grass, hills, and cliffs, because they have just flat space. They're going to have to create paths between each structure and to have some water features. So here's an example of what one student did as a plan. So they have their houses, and then they have the materials here, which is nice to see. So they know what kind of materials they're going to need in Minecraft, and then they gave a key that shows you what each symbol is represented on their structure, on their draft. So this gives students the basic idea of what they're going to build before they start building it. We always go over the rules of Minecraft. Make sure they stay in their seats. They sign in with their first name and where they're working. Number 5 is a big one. Don't destroy or attack others. We talk about griefing and working together. And then we quickly go over the controls on how to use Minecraft. I have these signs hung up around our classroom too. So if we go to Minecraft and we look, I'm going to sign into our server. I'll go in as a teacher. And then you'll be able to see how this is set up. So this is our spawn point. I've created pathways that have border blocks. Students then walk over to one of their paths, and they can just teleport themselves somewhere. They'll just go to number 1, for example. Station 1 has the eye that's open, so that's the only thing that students will see. And you can see that this one happens to be blank. If I press M and go to teacher mode, I always like to be in build mode, and then I use the movement speed and increase my speed so I can go quickly as I fly around. So if you see, if I go up and then start moving, you can see how quickly as a teacher I can move around. So here's a good example of what students have created. So they have a farm with water. We talked about paths. We talked about having a kiva. So they're building a little separate entity. They're using spider webs as smoke, which is interesting. I like how they built their houses out of grass and try to replicate clay and limestone and sandstone. So that's one good example of a Native American diorama. Students added all their own trees. So here's another good example. This one has signs that are labeled. So I turned off animals, but if I turn them on, you'll see. So if I press M, go into the world settings, and allow animals, I should be able to spawn some animals in here for them. So if they have pigs over here, for example, let's see what they have on this side. Here's sheep. So if I press E for inventory and I search for sheep, I put my egg down and I right click, right click, right click, then you can see that I've added some sheep. So I found that when you turn animals on, students tend to only focus on the animals, so I turn those off until the very last day. So this is a good example of their farm. They added some hills. So this really becomes a 3D diorama that they can really recreate something that looks authentic. And I like how they used item frames here. So these students know what they're doing in Minecraft, and they added some food sides of what you can get from these animals. So as we travel around some more, I can cruise further. This was the example that I did with the 4th grade teacher. So I'm in area 26. I tried to create a teepee if possible. Here is our kiva. Okay, so if you look inside, I even added some NPCs. This is how I can extend this. So if I right click on our NPC, he talks to me. You can see that. So that's pretty cool. And I'll just fly up. I added some big trees. You can use bone meal to make saplings grow. Here's how I did our farm. So this is trying to give students a good idea of how to get started. And then if we fly around further, we can look at some other examples. So I'm going to turn this on when students are in the room working, and then you can hear the buzz of the room. I always like to do that so you can really get an idea of what students are doing while they're in the game. Right clicking on chess, looks like they have seeds stored here. There's a bow and arrow for weapons if they need it. Here's another diorama. This is area number 21. So it looks like they have pumpkins and melons all arranged in a row, which is nice. There's their farm. These are their houses. We talked about not using glass. I'm not sure why they're still adding that, because they really didn't have glass in most Native American villages. And if you go up top, you can see how this looks similar to their, if I go back here and show you what their draft looks like, you can get an idea of how close the draft looks from above. So we'll try to look at one more section that has a lot of builds. Here's some good looking farms. These students are doing an interesting job making their mountains and hills, hilly regions. Looks like they have a nice bodies of water. They do have a farm. I don't see a pen for the animals, but we'll have to, oh there it is. So we'll have to look around and see how close this looks to their draft. There's another example. So everybody's doing a little bit differently, but this really gives students an idea of how to do a diorama in Minecraft. It's much more engaging for students. The materials are much more authentic. So you can see students are trying to create teepees. We talked about lighting. We talked about paths between structures. So they're all doing a really nice job following the expectations for this project. These students here were having a hard time with water. So they had a bit of a flooding issue. You can see there's still some remnants of water here. So we're trying to remedy that, but they were struggling with getting water right, because you have to put water down in a hole. If you put water up, it'll just flood the entire area. So students are learning that water functions much like it does in real life. So we'll check back when students are in the room finishing up this project. This is day number 4 on this, and then tomorrow they'll do some reflective writing to show what they've learned through this project.
Yes. So we're.
There's almost too much smoke there. You might want to turn that down.
Oh, okay. That's how you.
Hey, so why did you add this? I had to because the right chapter were in it. Oh.
How close does it look? Is it close?
No.
Be able to go up in the sky and look and see. Check your draft. Make sure it's close. That's it.
It's almost as close. Yeah, a little.
Alright, what do you need to work on?
You probably need to put all the Sharpies and all that stuff in there.
Okay.
And then
Work on that.
probably just put the pen right here.
You've got your plan.
That's our too much. We don't have breakfast.
You have too much?
I'm in the boat.
Okay, we're back. Students are in the room now, so we're going to see how they're progressing. They're doing a really good job of working together. and making authentic looking structures. So we did a quick cruise by with kids in the room, and you can see what kids are working on. So you can see what kids are working on hills. Some are working on taking down some of their trees. We're going to look over here. They have lots of trees in this area. So you can see someone's tending their farm. So I always like seeing what kids are doing while they're here in the class. And it also helps me keep an eye on them. If you want to teleport to what students are doing too, I can just click on the teacher tab, choose a student, and then I can teleport myself to where they are. That's a quick way to check on everybody. So it looks like we're working on some farms. Okay, and if we come up here, this looks really close to their draft that these girls did. So that's what we talked about. Okay, and here I can see if kids are wasting time. I can kind of check why they're up on top of a tree. She'll see me there. I can send her a note. So the teleport to where students are is a really fast way to find out what everybody's doing and how they're progressing. So let's teleport to somebody else. Let's go to group 22. So I can see they've got a path. They have their structures. They have their trees. That looks good. We talked about not having doors, so if you press T, you can see what I've been writing to kids, and you can see what other kids are writing to each other. So they're also learning some other skills, such as keyboarding and the need to communicate effectively with keyboard. So the kids like seeing when I fly in and see what they're up to. But there is a great buzz in the room. I always love the engagement level when kids are working. And you can see they're all really into this project, and they're using authentic materials. So having that discussion ahead of time of making sure you're using the correct materials that existed for Native Americans, just listening to their conversations. I'm hearing kids say they didn't have redstone torches back then. A great example of making sure that it's authentic. I was showing this student how to build a teepee. So we're working on that too. That's what these guys are working on. So it's been a good project. Tomorrow they'll do some writing about what you've learned, what was the hardest part of this project, if they prefer a diorama with a shoebox and materials or prefer making this in Minecraft and why. And then we'll find out what they learned about Native American culture. Thanks for watching.